Well, hi there, and you're welcome along once again to another Irish Connection Country Show with me, Sean Green, your host. And on today's show, we're going to be meeting a multi-instrumentalist who is also in the Guinness Book of Records, and that is the man sitting here opposite me, Dave Sheriff. Dave, a warm welcome along to the show, and thank you for being here for us.
Always a privilege to come and see you, Sean.
Now, listen, tell the people a little bit about Dave Sheriff, because we're only just really beginning to be introduced to you through your music. But I mean, like, you've been on the road a long time.
I turned professional in 1972, which was a lot of years ago, and come through the mill as a session musician. I played the early Wembley festivals back in the 70s, but then basically a one-man band. So I started off playing the harmonica, and then I taught myself to play the drums, and then I taught myself to play the guitar. So while sitting at the kit of drums with the guitar and the harmonica, that's how the one-man band thing came, and then we just progressed and found that people wanted songs, so we started writing songs.
How did you get the influences for writing some of your songs? Because, I mean, you have got a big portfolio of songs, I mean, stretching all the way back from your earliest days, 1972, all the way up to your current album, which we will talk about in a minute. I mean, how does Dave Sheriff get the influences to write some of the songs that you wrote? Well,
I started off writing songs for the line dance market, and of course the Red Hot Salsa was probably a big hit on the line dance market, which took me all over the world, Australia, New Zealand and everywhere. And that was really providing music for the new-found craze of line dancing when it first hit UK. And the dancers were there, but they were having difficulty getting the music from America. It was all American import music. So I started writing songs, and I quickly learned about dance tempos are important and stuff like that. And then it's just progressed from there. Obviously now I write a lot for the Irish market. I'm very fortunate in that a lot of the Irish artists have recorded my songs. People like Anne Breen was the first to do it. Best of Friends, she recorded that song, title track of an album and a video, and then Frank McCaffrey did my song Your Special Day. That was the title track of his album, and since then a lot of the Irish acts were Robert Mizell and Stephen Smith. And Declan Nerney, his latest album, Thank Heaven for You, is a title track. That's my song, and All Friends Together, of course. So it's still very important to have the dance tempos for the Irish market. I mean, a lot of serious dancers over here, and the tempo's got to be dead right for the dancing, and every song's got to be written in a tempo. So you might as well make it in like a quick step foxtrot, old time waltz or waltz, whatever, so everybody can enjoy it.
I mean, how do you feel like, as you've just mentioned, you've had loads of Irish artists, Stephen Smith, Declan, to name just a couple, that have recorded songs belonging to you. I mean, how do you feel as a songwriter when you get somebody else that decides to take one of your songs out of all the songwriters in the world and record it on his or her album? It must be very gratifying for you.
Well, it's very privileged. I feel very privileged, especially when someone like Robert will pick a song, because Robert's very fussy about the stuff that he does, obviously, and rightly so. And for him to pick one of my songs, which he picked up off a radio sampler CD, actually, he happened to have a song on the same CD as me, and he picked the Friend in Need song from that. And it's great, because once one artist has recorded your songs, it makes other artists sort of say, well, perhaps you've got some good songs in the catalogue there and worth a listen to. You know? So I've been very fortunate in that way. But since then, since I've been fortunate enough to get the radio play with my own versions of the songs, especially in Ireland, there's a market here for my live performances as well, and like we're doing a few live shows over here this year, 2012, so we're looking forward to that.
Now, you also, as I said, you mentioned about the artists that have recorded your songs, you've done them yourselves. I mean, do you mind, and this is, if an artist took one of your songs and changed it slightly, we'll say, did it as a different beat or a different tempo, I mean, how does Dave Sheriff feel about something like that?
Normally they would contact me and ask if I mind, and I don't mind really, because it's, at the end of the day, as a songwriter, if it gets played, I'll get royalties back. And these days, we look forward to the old age pension, which isn't a lot, but hopefully if you can put it out with a few royalties as well, it just pads it out a little bit more. So obviously, the more people record your songs, the better. So I'm pretty liberal that way, and I do allow artistic licence.
Yeah. Now, you've also recorded, and one of the few artists that have done it, recorded an album that's dedicated to the 32 counties of Ireland. Now, what I mean by that is you recorded a song for every county in Ireland, which is very unusual nowadays. I mean, what gave you the idea to do something like that? Because you've recorded songs for my particular home county, Sligo, you've done Donegal, I mean, to name just two. I mean, what gave you the idea to go and do something like that, which was a very big undertaking, may I say, for an English country music artist?
Yeah, well, that's I found since I've been starting doing the Irish clubs, if you sing a song and it mentions the county where somebody's in, they very soon let you know that they come from that place. And I thought it'd be good if I could write a song with all the counties and Song for All Ireland, and it would be like a virtual tour of Ireland on a song. And I had the vision that every time I mentioned the name of this county, we'll get people jumping up and like a Mexican wave going around the room. And I thought, well, that'd be quite a cool thing to do, like.
And you've done DVDs for some of the songs as well that's on that particular album.
The Song for All Ireland, I've done a DVD, and we've actually got, we're zooming in and out of the map and make it a bit more interesting for people to see where the actual counties are, you know.
That's very interesting, very good.
Obviously, people who haven't been to Ireland, they don't realise where the actual places are on the map. So we zoom in and out of the map, and every time I mention the county, then we zoom in on the place where it is. But yeah, it seems to work very well, and it's sold very well in the shops. Of course, it's all in the shops in Ireland, distributed by Sharp Music. And there was a call for the new album. So the first album was the 21 songs, Song for All Ireland. And that sold well, so we decided to put another 20 new songs called Work of Art, and that's in the shops now, along with the DVD. The DVD was the immediate follow-up to the Song for All Ireland CD.
Now, the new album, which you've just said, Work of Art, which is this particular album, I mean, again, as I said, full of great songs. I mean, how did you try and better your last album with this one? Because with every artist, obviously, like every album you do, you try and step up one on the ladder. I mean, it's hard for you because you do some great albums and you give great value with 20 tracks on there. I mean, how did Dave Shearer think themselves, well, I want to do something, but I want to take it up just that one little niche from my last album?
I think the way I looked at that was I tried to introduce some different tempos. There's a great variety of tempos on this new album song, and I always try and look for a tempo that I haven't covered before on a previous album. So there is a great selection of tempos and styles of music on there. And it's just the way the music scene is going. We just try to cross over as much as we can, you know. Going back to the Irish clubs, you know, really anything goes music-wise as long as it's good, whether it's rock and roll or we look at the old Joe Dolan stuff and right to the Big Tom stuff, you know, it's all good stuff, and I quite like the old show band sound, so I've introduced a bit of brass onto that album as well, which makes it a bit more interesting.
Now, we also said at the beginning of the interview that you are, like you told us about you being a multi-instrumentalist. How many instruments actually can you play?
Well, I can get a tune out of most things. That's what I say. But with the Guinness Book of Records, I ended up playing 12 musical instruments at the same time with Roy Castle on Record Breakers a number of years ago. And that was... you have to play a recognisable tune. So the tune was Amazing Grace, which I played on the harmonica, and I sat there with bass drum, cymbals and bass pedals and all bits of percussion and guitar, and I had a thing on the end of the guitar which I played the keyboard at the same time as the guitar, and yeah, it was a bit tongue-in-cheek really, but at the time I was just going around raising money for the leukemia research for charity, and obviously the more obscure things you can find to do, the more people tend to part with the money.
But there's not many artists that are in the Guinness Book of Records for doing what you've done, though. I mean, you look in the Guinness Book of Records and you see all different records that have been broken. I mean, since you've done that, I mean, has anybody ever tried to break your record?
Well, shortly after I did my marathon record, which was the one-man band for 199 hours, and that was sort of 9 days, that was. And after I did that, there was a guy who did a few more hours than me, but then they decided to take the category out of the book because it was dangerous. And then the multi-instrumental record, which I did back in the days of Roy Castle, that was at the time when Norris McWhirter was in charge. They were very particular about you should be able to play the instrument collectively or individually. You had to play an instrument, you could be able to control each instrument individually as well as the collectively with the whole thing. But the guy that took the record from me after I did it had made this sort of piece of machinery that you sort of pulled along and it played all the instruments. So it was a bit disappointing, really, but there you go. I mean, new blood comes into the Guinness Book of Records publishing thing, and I suppose they have different ideas, but I'm a bit old school with that, but, you know, that's just the way things are gone.
Now, on your new album, you have got a very special track there because you feature some very special people doing it with it, called the Jordanaires, who, of course, as everybody doesn't know, was the band that used to back Elvis on all of his hits, and, of course, Roy Orbison, Jim Reeves, to name just a few. And now, Dave Sheriff, you have him on one of your songs on your new album.
Well, the Jordanaires were just... they were just such interesting guys to talk to, and I've been a fan of the Jordanaires right from the early days. So you could say Patsy Cline and Jim Reeves, and, you know, Big Bad John. That was originally a poem written by Jimmy Dean, which the Jordanaires turned into a hit song for him. And it's just gone from there. So when I had the opportunity to go to Nashville and record with everybody that have been my idols over the years, people I've read on record sleeves and stuff like that, and this one session, you get a 4-hour session in Nashville, a 3-hour session in which you fit 4 songs. The 4 songs I wanted all my idols to play on this particular, so I had Pig Robbins playing the piano, Buddy Spiker was playing the fiddle, all the top session guys on there, and I thought, well, I would need the Jordanaires. And I said to the producer, Mark Mosley, what's the chance of getting the Jordanaires? He said, well, they're available at cost, like. And I said, well, you know, I might only be here once, so I want to hire them. So, and he said, well, it's October, and they're actually doing the Elvis tribute show in Vegas at the moment. They're not available. You can have the stamps. Stamps great, of course, but I said I really want the Jordanaires. So we finished all the album apart from the bits I wanted the Jordanaires on, and I flew back in November when the Jordanaires were available, just to be there when they put their bits on. But it's an experience that I wouldn't have missed for the world, with the stories they tell. Really, the attitude they came in, well, there's this guy from England who wants us to make him sound good, but then they heard the songs and they wanted input into the songs, which is great as a songwriter, and they say, well, would you mind if we did this? Is it possible we can do that here instead of that? Like, and I said, guys, you know, just do your thing. You know, they play it on over 2,000 records, and they're just, you know, if anybody knows how to do them, you guys do. So you just do what you want, and they just turned out a great job, and we had a great relationship. And I struck up a bit of a friendship with the bass singer Ray Walker. And when I went back to Nashville to do some recording on a couple of years after that, I wrote a song as a tribute to the Jordanaires called "I Wish I Had a Bassman Like the Jordanaires," which was about Ray Walker, really, because he was a friend. And Ray came in and did a duet with me, and we just had a ball. And that's actually a track on the DVD. We were working together in the studio in Nashville, and we had a ball, and it was really good, and it's really worth watching.
And the song, of course, that you did with the Jordanaires on your album was?
Well, I've done several with the Jordanaires. I've done 4 tracks with the Jordanaires. On the DVD, there's the 4 tracks on there. On the new album, there's a song called "I've Got the Love of a Good Woman."
That's the one I'm talking about.
And that's the one that's featured on the new album.
New album as well. Now, I mean, of all, you know, you've been around the scene for a long time, as you said. Now, I mean, what about, and I've asked you this before when I did in a radio interview here, what about doing an album where you could feature some of your favourite Irish singers sort of collaborating with you?
That would be an idea for the future, especially as I'm getting around to meet some of them now. I mean, although Declan Nerney's recorded a couple of my songs, I'd never met Declan until I'd just come over here on this tour. I spoke to him on the phone a lot of times about music and songs that he wanted, but we actually did. I went down to Sligo and then Longford this week to do some filming, and we actually stayed over in Sligo, and I thought, well, Declan, I heard an advert on the radio. Declan was playing at Allingham Arms at Bundoran, so I thought, that's only 20 miles up the road, and I texted him, what's the chances? Oh yeah, we'll have a meet up. And we went up there and had a long chat with Declan. He's given me some ideas to do some new songs for him. So it was great, but we're doing this tour with Phil Mack in May, which we're looking forward to, because myself and Raymond Froggatt representing England, really, along with your Irish stars like Louise Morrissey and people like that are all on the show. So it's a really good show. We're looking forward to it, and hopefully get to meet some of them, and maybe that could be you know, something that'll happen in the future.
And of course, you have your own website as well, haven't you?
DaveSheriff.com, yeah.
Which people can see all your dates and know how to get hold of your music as well.
Yeah, the dates aren't on there, but certainly all my catalogue of original songs are on there, which they can buy as individual downloads if they want. But yeah, it's everything that you need to know about me will be on the website, and if you want to know where we're performing, it's just a matter of sending me an email, and you can be on the gig guide list.
Well, that's great. Well, Dave Sheriff, thank you so much indeed for spending some time with us here on the Irish Connection Country Show. It's been great to hook up with you once again. The best of luck with your forthcoming Irish tour. And now I think it's about time we heard Dave Sheriff doing some music for us. And this is Dave along with the Jordanaires and a track from his latest DVD. This is For the Love of a Good Woman.
I've got the love of a good woman. I know it's true. No, it's true. It's just me and you. Me and you. When you've got the love of a good woman, there's no sea that you can cross, or no mountain you can climb. But when I wake up every morning, she helps me spend my day just right. And when we go to bed, she helps me make it through the night. When she says she really loves me, I know it comes right from the heart. And I hate to think of what I'd do if we should spend our time apart. I've got the love of a good woman. I know it's true. No, it's true. It's just me and you. Me and you. When you've got the love of a good woman, there's no sea that you can't cross, or no mountain you can't climb. I've got the love of a good woman. I know it's true. No, it's true. It's just me and you. Me and you. When you've got the love of a good woman, there's no sea that you can cross, or no mountain you can't climb. I've got the love of a good woman. I know it's true. No, it's true. It's just me and you. Me and you. When you've got the love of a good woman, there's no sea that you can cross, or no mountain you can climb. Yes, I've got